So thank you for joining KidLit TV again at the 10th annual Chappaqua Children's Book Festival. We're going to give a brief tribute. Several members of Ink Think Tank, the organization that VICKI COBB, the late great VICKI COBB, formed. She formed it to promote nonfiction literature for children, and we're here to comment briefly on our very creative friend. So first, I'm going to say a word rather than discuss all of her accomplishments, over 100 published books, and her first, a science television show and the use of early videos and early technology. I want to say that she was one of the most moral, fair-minded, and generous people I've ever known. And she had the courage of her convictions, as we will discuss. She cared passionately about children and education. There will never be another Vicki. Now, Alex Siy will speak.
Thanks, Roxy. I'm here to pay tribute to Vicki as well. Vicki was always ahead of her time, writing STEM titles before STEM was a thing. Her classic book, which I have here, Science Experiments You Can Eat, was first published in 1972. It brought chemistry to life through hands-on edible experimentation and remains in print today. Vicki was both brilliant and playful. She could discuss the details of science like no other writer I've ever known, and she knew how to reach children because she had the highest respect for kids. Her style was to ask questions rather than teach. Her approach got children to think, be creative, ask more questions, solve problems, and fall in love with science. Her mission was to inspire joy in learning. So we can thank Vicki today. Nonfiction for children no longer takes a back seat. She really put it into the forefront and influenced all nonfiction writers, I think, today. So I wanted to read the dedication to my book, Voyager's Greatest Hit. This was published in 2017. I dedicated it to VICKI COBB, dear friend, mentor, and the Voyager 1 of children's nonfiction literature. My most recent book was one of the last I had Vicki help me, mentor me and read my manuscript. It's called Bristlecone, and it's about the oldest trees in the world. They're 5,000 years old, and they're not quite eternal, but I think Vicki's influence on children's literature will be. I mean, she lives on through her wonderful books. So thank you, Roxy, and everybody for being here.
And thank you, Alex, because Alex, I believe, was the one with Vicki, the originator of the Nonfiction Minute, one of the most valuable things to come out of Ink Think Tank, the group that Vicki developed. Now, Selene.
Well, Vicki wrote about science, and she was a force of nature. That woman was unbelievable. You could not stop from feeling her passion when you spoke with her, and it just hit you, and you were part of it. When I met her, the first time I met her, we were at they had open mics for people who wanted to speak to the new mayor of New York. And so we were recruited to go down and talk about nonfiction. I don't remember who sent us, and I had never met her before. And she just got up there and said, I write nonfiction, and not enough people pay attention to nonfiction, and we need more nonfiction. And she just went on, and I was like, wow, I want to be friends with her. And then I spoke, and I said something, I don't know what, and then we embraced, and we went out to dinner, and we just became the best of friends. And Vicki, she was just, to know her was to love her. The most passionate person, the most honest person. We all need people like Vicki. We should all strive to be like Vicki, because she did not mince words. And she was right. You can't mince words with the way the world is. We have to tell it like it is. And she really inspired me. And she helped me get this book published, not directly, but I wrote this book, the manuscript 18 years ago. This is Tap, and it's a story about Savion Glover, the dancer. And I wrote it when my sons were first dancing. They were little. And I had really given up hope, because everybody said it needs to be about girls. I'm like, no, what are you saying? And she convinced me to give it the final push, and then it got picked up by Holiday House. And so I really owe so much to Vicki, and what she did for us with Ink. It was just beautiful, and I'm so sorry. I just can't even believe she's gone. But she'll never be gone from our hearts, and we must always keep her books out there too. And we all love you, Vicki.
Thank you very much. Now, Sally Cook was a member of Inc.
It's so lovely to be here for this wonderful tribute to Vicki. I didn't know her as well as some of you, but I spent a glorious afternoon where she told me about her philosophy of education, and she truly respected children so deeply and their intelligence and their feelings. And I had an incredible talk with her that I'll never forget. And as everyone here said, she was a force of nature. She was dynamic. She was passionate. And it was just a joy to get to know Vicki and how she supported not only children with her work, but also other writers. So I just feel, so sad that she's gone. And I'm just thrilled to be here today to memorialize her and her work.
Thank you very much. And now, Susanna.
Thank you, Roxy, and thank you for being here today. I first got to know Vicki about 17 or 18 years ago when I helped to do some publicity on one of her books. And it was and remains my favorite of all her books. And that's this one, I Face the Wind, which was a Seibert Honor book. And it really epitomizes to me her ability to explain scientific concepts in a way that 5-6-year-olds can really grasp and understand. And she did it with her joie de vivre and her spirit, which was always exuberant. And when I think of her, I think of that science experiment where you make a volcano by putting vinegar and baking soda together and it explodes. That to me is Vicki. She was incredibly energetic and always supportive of all of us. She was a real community builder. By creating Inc. Think Tank and then the Nonfiction Minute, she brought together a large group of nonfiction writers to all work in our different ways to promote nonfiction, even though some of us were writing science books, some of us were writing picture book biographies, books on the arts, books on any kind of subject. And she was always extremely supportive of all of our work. And so I'm really thrilled to participate in honoring her memory and her legacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was lovely. And I will say that Vicki was at the first Chappaqua Children's Book Festival and many after that. And she did some of her experiments at her table at the Chappaqua Children's Book Festival. So thank you for the festival, and thank you, KidLit TV. Bye.